Hey, how's it going? Charlo Bingu here. Here's a quick guide on how to play Slayer for Fighter. So Slayer is a very high damage, very high mobility spec. Um, is really good early on with low gear. You absolutely pump. It's honestly ridiculous how much damage you can do. But the drawbacks are you can get kited super hard by rogues with hand crossbow. You typically don't have a shield out, so you get kited by rangers and wizards as well, and that can be like kind of problematic for you. But you absolutely pump if you get them in melee range, which shouldn't be like impossible with your sprint. But it all just kind of comes down to skill. Anyway, so perks. First perk, you want Slayer, 5 damage for holding weapon in each hand, and you can't wear plate armor, which is, I guess, a fair trade. Second perk, I actually go Sword Mastery. Second perk, it gives you 2 weapon damage when you're using swords, which you get from your squire before every dungeon, and 5% action speed, which is basically attack speed. So if you get an action speed here, speed of your attacks. Right, third perk is dual wield, and that's 10% action speed. Super, super good. We're very high damaging, very uptime dependent class, right? You don't want to go in for like short trades. You want to kind of commit to like a longer sort of trade, especially against classes like barb, which have really slow swings. You have a ton more DPS than them, so you don't really want to trade one for one ever. And so these 3 perks are locked in. The 4th perk is really up to you. You can run Swift, but in my opinion, it's not worth it because you're not wearing plate. You're not that fast anyway. You can run Combo Attack for a bunch of damage. I actually really like this one because I use an Arming Sword and a Castellan Dagger, so I actually swing really fast. And with something slower like a Falchion, I don't think it would be as good, but it's just personal preference. Also, you can run Weapon Mastery, which lets you bring a bow or a crossbow in your second slot, basically. And they're all fine. They're all good. I'm running Combo Attack right now because I'm broke boy, and I'm not trying to spend a bunch on bows before every run. And then as for skills, Sprint is the fighter classic. It's ridiculous. And then the second one, you have a choice between 3. So you can take Second Wind, which I would recommend if you're starting out, because it just gives you a lot more sustain once you're learning the game, learning how to fight monsters, do all that. It just makes it a whole lot smoother because you get a bunch of health back. If you're more comfortable, I would go Adrenaline Rush, 15% action speed, absolutely pumps. You can actually combine this with Adrenaline Spike, so in a long trade where you're taking a bunch of damage, you get absolutely absurd attack speed. Or you could run Victory Strike, but this one's like iffy, you know. Kill a target, get 15% max health, decent amount of sustain. But if you're starting out, probably not worth it because you're not going to know like when mobs are about to die, basically. So this is what I run right here. It's not bad. So then we'll go over to the Squire. So the gear setup I use, Arming Sword main hand, Castellan offhand. I like these because they're faster, right? It's 5 move speed more than a Falchion. I personally like the animations on the Arming Sword better than the Falchion, but it really is personal preference. You can go either or. It doesn't really matter. You're still going to do a bunch of damage either way. Second slot, I always use a shield and a sword. A shield comes in handy a lot. Yeah, once you play it a bunch, you'll understand what I mean. And then these 3, I go with a doublet for the dexterity, which I think is actually pretty good on Slayer because it increases your action speed. And dexterity here, and dexterity on the boots. So it's 50-50 between the strength boots and the dexterity boots. But I think 2 move speed, 1 dexterity is probably better than 1 strength. And then, yeah, make sure you grab a Francisca axe from him as well, and then your meds. And as for stats, I would prioritize strength and dexterity first, and then second, vigor and agility. So as you get higher up, well, first of all, Slayer I don't think is that good once you get to high roller and all that. But if you do want to play it at higher levels of competition, vigor is pretty important. And dexterity, obviously, it increases your attack speed. Strength increases your damage. Agility increases your speed. So these 3 are the most important, in my opinion, followed very closely by vigor. And yeah, that's pretty much it.